Welcome to the Natural History Cupboard. Come on in.
Welcome back to the Natural History Cupboard podcast, the place where the weird and wonderful parts of the natural world come together. I'm back as your host.
He's back. You missed an opportunity there.
What?
I'm back.
I'll be back. I am back. There you go. And Aaron, you've been here this entire time. You know, what have I missed?
Well, we managed to not burn the studio down.
Considering it's in your house, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. No, what have I been up to? We've survived. It's been nice it's been really nice to record with Drew again, because I always liked it when it was the three of us. I mean, I like it now, obviously. Sorry, but I do think that when it was the three of us, it's always nice when it's the three of us. But yeah, other than that, I've not been doing all that much wildlife wise, because I've kind of been locked up in the van. Not that also sounds bad.
So you managed to get out then?
I think my van has kidnapped me. Send help. No, I've been working on the van so much that I've not seen. Although I have been treated to a lot of bats, which has been cool. Very, very cool. Also, I did see one thing which I think should serve as a warning to anyone. If anyone's got poultry, try and keep them in, because this is the second day that I've seen. It's not the second day I've seen someone's poultry out on the road, and that's a risk to the poultry.
Yeah.
But it's the second day where I've seen the specific poultry with slow worms in their beaks.
Oh.
So I mean, there's no need for it, really. I don't mean that in a judgy way. I just mean that if anyone's got poultry, just make sure they're locked up.
In that situation, having a secure area for your animals, especially because I would assume they would probably also be the first to complain if a fox or a stoat came along and plucked one of their animals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Well, very unfortunate, because I like slow worms. I never get to see them alive at the moment. They seem to be being picked off by these. If it's not by the cats, it's by these chickens. So.
Wayward chickens.
Yeah. But it's nice to have you back. Very nice to have you back. It's good to see you. Because it's been different, hasn't it? But
it's been interesting. It's been odd. I'll say that much. You know. So obviously everything has gone fine. Baby is healthy. Nice, healthy little boy, and is, denying us our sleep. That's always fun. No, he's fine and fitting in well, and obviously brand new job as well. That I just thought, let's get it all out of the way in one hit.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting the last couple of weeks. I've also had bats as well.
Good.
One of the first. In fact, the second day that I was working at the zoo, literally had a member of the public come up to me and go, "Oh, I've just found a bat out. Can you come and have a look?" And I thought, hang on. There's no bats here. We haven't got bats here. Okay, so I grabbed one of the other keepers with me, and this is just whilst I was on a bit of a lunch break. We went round the corner, and there's this tiny little bat.
Oh, yeah.
Clinging onto the side of one of the enclosures, just middle of the day, not exactly in like a tucked away part of the zoo, a main thoroughfare through the zoo. This little bat just on the wall, just sat there, and I went, "Okay, well, that is a wild bat you have found. Best to leave him. We'll just leave him as he is, and if he's there at the end of the day and there's something wrong with him, we'll obviously try and find something to sort out." But no, he was gone within a couple of hours. He's just obviously having a bit of a snooze in the middle of the day. It was quite nice.
It's really cool.
I know.
It's a pleasure to see something that you don't often get to see that close.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's an incredibly good spot, and I think to this member of the public, I said, you've managed to spot something that I don't think many people would have even noticed. And evidently, I'm guessing they didn't, because we didn't have anyone else come up and say anything for the rest of the day. But yeah, trying to think if there's been any other. There's been the bad thing, I would say, is because I'm now going on this country road that's very close to here anyway. The amount of dead hedgehogs I've seen, and at least 3 dead deer as well.
Yeah,
And a
I've
lot of
seen
road traffic
dead
accidents
deer.
this time of the year for wildlife. Um, and not great, It's yeah, that would be another thing to say when it comes to that poultry, those chickens that are wandering around. There's a good chance they may get hit by something as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But like
which
I
is not
said,
great
though,
either.
it's a risk to the poultry, but
Mm,
it's also wildlife out and about trying to live their lives.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yes, it's been interesting. So I'm back, obviously, but
Really?
well, I think so. I think, but
You're not an apparition.
no, I'm not. You're not daydreaming. But as we sort of have a bit of a hit of a brick wall, I would say, because, well, you're disappearing.
Yes.
You're off traveling.
Yeah.
Drew is moving house,
Yeah.
and I am left on my own.
With
With
a newborn and a new job
Yes, but
to contend with.
is basically would limit me to certain amounts of things. But it also getting in here is probably the my burglary skills are not that great. So what we are going to have to do, and for the first time in 5 years, actually,
Mm.
which is a bit of a sad thing for us, but life gets in the way. So for
It's supposed to be life finds
yeah,
a
well,
way.
it should
To be
actually be
positive
life
about
gets
it.
in the way. So for the next month, for August, we are actually going to be taking not a break
No.
as such, because we've prepared 2 mini episodes, 2
Mhm.
Nature Bites episodes for you guys to see. A bit like the Stalk one I did when all hell broke loose that time.
Oh yeah.
The emergency broadcast, as it were.
Yes.
Well, these ones are coming up, and throughout the month of August, we're going to have 2 of those episodes to tide you guys over, to basically make sure that there is something coming out for you guys to watch, because we don't want you forgetting about us if we disappear.
No.
But then we should be back in September, hopefully, all back in
All
September.
back. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah.
I know I've got something for the Patreons to tide them over,
Okay.
which I'm not going to say anything about on
No.
this. Did Drew say that he's got something for Patreons?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. So,
Not sure.
so definitely something from me, and also because I'm hopefully going to have a bit of an interesting time, I might have some content to.
Well, that's good. We can
throw
at
in
least
as well.
we're going to. There will still be stuff there, and you can obviously check out the daily videos that go up on our TikTok channel,
Hmm.
which I've still been doing whilst I've been away,
Yes.
which have been my way of keeping still active.
You upset people though, didn't you, by not including their favorite dinosaurs from their
Yes,
country?
to all those people who on the
You can't please everyone all the time.
no on the one TikTok video that was I believe 37 seconds long, which took an hour and a half to edit to get everything right. That's just to give you an idea of how long it takes some of these to do to get
Yeah.
things in the right place. I did dinosaurs in Europe. Now, I wasn't going to do the whole of Europe because I would have been there for hours. And whilst editing with a newborn on you, I'll tell you what, the muscle here in my arm is getting stronger. Like, to hold a newborn there, you got muscles there that you didn't think you had. But then you lose them over the years because you're not holding the child there anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten I had that muscle apparently since the first one. But yes, I managed to miss out Ireland, Switzerland, and Greece, of which those people then reminded me of that fact.
Presumably other countries, but they're the ones that
So I didn't
that
include
Karened about it.
and Andorra, Spain.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That was the one I thought, I bet Aaron's going to pick me up on the fact I didn't include Spain.
No, because I'm not a pedant.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
So
quite
I will
happy
do
to-
a part 2 on that one. I'm going to try and do the rest of the world. I did think of doing that, the United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama. But I wouldn't have been able to put the dinosaurs in at a fast enough rate, and not every country has a dinosaur. So
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move into the news before I start singing?
Yes. But one last thing, very
Right.
important. Happy International Tiger Day.
Ah,
The 29th of January? Oh my God, I've gone back in time. Why have I gone forward in time?
I don't
I don't
know.
know. This has completely spun me out. The 29th of July is when we're recording this. Obviously, it's not going to come out on that day, but yeah,
Mhm.
very, very happy Tiger Awareness Day, guys.
It's the news!
Right, well, we're into our news for this week. And we're going to start things off. I actually thought this is the problem with me being off for weeks.
Mm.
I hadn't actually watched the news segment back. I know, sorry. I did watch some of them, but it was very hard to watch with a screaming child. But they were good. They were good. The moth bits and
Yeah.
the Beater.
Watch any of it.
Beater.
Ah, the beat. Okay.
I was about to say lilac-breasted roller, but anyway, made me end up picking up news that was already in our inbox that you'd already covered.
Yes,
So
that's right.
I've had to throw two of those away. But anyway, the one that we do have that is actually been put in there has come from one of our patrons, Jen Greenhall, and she's included this from the Lancashire Telegraph. Work to restore peatlands on the West Pennine Moors and beyond. So the moorland above Bolton, Bury, and across parts of Lancashire are going to be restored to its natural and powerful glory as bogs are brought back to life, which I think is brilliant. Work already has been undertaken by United Utilities, of all people, on the West Pennine Moors, the stunning backdrop to Bolton and beyond, to restore peatland across the northwest. In at least 5 years, they've already improved over 3,000 hectares or 4,200 football pitches. I do like it when they include how many football pitches that is, and it's not a Wales before you ask.
For our American listeners, that's
A proper football pitch.
football
Yeah.
played with a foot.
Yes, and not the hand, unless you're the goalie. Of peatland across the northwest. So the West Pennine Moorland, including Anglesark, Withnell, Rivington, Darwin, and Turton Moors, and Oswald Thwistle Moors, and Holcombe Moors have already achieved a target of restoring 3,000 hectares. What?
It's just so nice to hear someone other than me butcher.
Yeah, well,
words.
I've got to admit, Oswald Thwistle.
Thistle is that's a good one.
Brilliant name. I mean, Holcombe shouldn't be that hard. Most of the places around here have got coombe to the end of them. But the peatland is expected, like I say, to be restored by 2030. The water company for the Northwest, United Utilities, has made a commitment to improving at least another 1,500 hectares in the next 5 years, which in itself is quite an achievement, considering water companies in this country are not the best, I would say.
No, fair shout. So my first article comes to us from the Indian Defence Review, which is a bit of an odd one that I've never come across before. But mother humpback whale is a hint to what's going on later on today. Mother humpback whale helps diver breathe by gently lifting him to the surface. While struggling underwater, photographer Jono Allen was shocked to find a nearby mother humpback whale approached him and proceeded to lift him gently to the water's surface to breathe. The behaviour reignites the discussion of whether or not empathy is a strictly human trait, which, by the way, I thought that debate was actually over.
That had been settled a long time ago.
In fact, I would even argue if most humans have empathy. But there we go. That's the first article from me today.
My next one comes from BBC News because, like I say, I had to quickly redo mine after realising I'd gone over old news. But this is from Newquay Zoo. They've got a young pair of rare endangered hyenas arriving at Newquay Zoo for the first time. So the pair are known as Flo and Quinn. They are an endangered pair of brown hyenas, which also get the name of strand wolves, which I would assume comes from the fact that these guys are quite often found on the Skeleton Coast in southern Africa, where they like to basically predate on penguins and seals and fur seals. So yeah, Newquay Zoo has got a pair of incredibly rare animals, and I think the only ones in the country.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many hyenas in the UK either.
Yeah. Sticking with BBC News and zoo-related news at that, hidden camera captures footage of baby snow leopard. The video, which is viewable on the website, shows the first snow leopard to be born at Chester Zoo ever. Born on June the 10th, the playful little cub is proven to be quite the handful for the mother, though she is matching the cub's mischief with her own attentiveness. It's a heartwarming video. Everyone should go and watch it. Maybe pause this or wait until the end of the episode, but you should watch it.
My next one, also from the BBC, teeth marks suggest terror bird was killed by a reptile 13 million years ago. So the terror birds, the Forres racidae, the large, predatory birds, which we have covered in the past. There is a fossil of a terror bird, 13 million years old, that suggests an even bigger predator may have killed it. So they were thought to be obviously the top predators in their ecosystem, but paleontologists in Colombia have matched teeth marks on a fossilized leg bone of one of these birds to basically be a caiman or crocodile-like reptile. And they fit perfectly to show this from 3D digital scans of the bites, allowing the scientists to reconstruct what they believe was the battle to the death of the terror bird that did not survive.
Well, serves it right for being such a pain in the butt on Ark. Anyway, my final article comes to us from ITVX, the headline being critically endangered angel shark caught on camera in Cardigan Bay seabed. The critically endangered angel shark is one of the rarest shark species in the world, but that didn't stop a remarkable specimen from giving an underwater camera deployed by the Wildlife Trust of South and West Wales a bit of a show. The footage shows the shark passing with impressive speed and grace, but close enough to get a good look at the individual, who is the first to be seen in the area for 4 years. And it's a really cool shark.
So those are our articles for this week. If you have an article that you want us to look at or to read out to you guys, send that in. You can do that through our email or Facebook or TikTok or wherever you want to send it to us. Send it on a carrier pigeon or something. I don't know. But we'll do that. And it may even be our main article for this week. But this is one that I have wanted to cover, annoyingly. The moment I went off, there was tons of really good news.
Yes, it was.
And then the moment I come back, it's like the news dries up.
Quite Newsweek. It has been that.
I've gone with one that really hit, that was quite interesting, and especially because your creature featured today, I think it fits quite nicely. This is the news from the Natural History Museum in the UK of a giant ichthyosaur and its flippers that have been fossilized for the first time in exquisite detail. Now, normally, ichthyosaurs are a fantastic animal when it comes to fossil preservation. There are fossils of ones that have died during birth. There are fossils of ones that have broken their rostrum, their mouth, basically. There's fossils of ones that have been bitten in half, all sorts. The preservation of ichthyosaurs is pretty good, but this one is next level, because this one has shown some of the soft tissue and skin around an ichthyosaur's paddle, the flippers that they have on, which make up their arms and their legs, essentially. So ichthyosaurs, for those of you who are unaware, are large and a vast family of marine reptiles that lived at the same time as the dinosaurs. Some of them were as small as porpoises. Some of them were arguably the largest animal that has lived on the planet. If the Ostcliffe ichthyosaur or the Ost colossus turns out to be as big as it's estimated to be, it's bigger than a blue whale.
Or the Colossus.
Anyway, but one of the most famous species is Temnodontosaurus. If you've ever been down Charmouth or to Lyme Regis, or arguably been to the Natural History Museum in London, you will have probably seen a Temnodontosaurus ichthyosaur skeleton. They are the big macro predator ichthyosaurs. They're basically the orcas of their day, and they were large predatory ichthyosaurs that would quite happily eat pretty much anything they come across. Well, the flipper that has been found is of a Temnodontosaurus, and it shows a remarkable amount of preservation of the skin around the flipper. And it also shows something that is seen in owls, which are not things that you necessarily would connect with each other. But owl feathers have sort of a feathering, I suppose, on the edge of their feathers. These tiny little barbules that come off the edge of the feathers that help to silence the animal as it flies. And this appears to be very similar on the edge of an Ichthyosaurs flipper, which has never been seen before, showing that these animals were probably a bit more stealthy in the water than they were before, helping to, I guess, reduce drag and, make it easier for them to cut through the water and sneak up on their prey.
Yeah.
Which would be a terrifying sight. I mean, these have some of the largest eyes of any animal on the planet because of the way that their eye structure works. So they can live in the deep, dark ocean and also work at the surface level as well. They would have been fast, large, predatory. You wouldn't want to be in the water with one. I think one of my biggest dislikes of the Jurassic World franchise is they've not included ichthyosaurs, which should be in there because they just, a lot of the time they're seen as just the reptile dolphin, which I think is underselling them a bit, and underselling dolphins as well, because they're also supreme predators at the same time. But yeah, this is an absolutely fascinating paper that has come out to basically show that Temnodontosauruses were more sophisticated animals than previously thought and used elaborate features to sneak up on unwitting prey under the cover of darkness. And this has come from Dr. John Lindgren, the lead author on the fossil. The flipper's fleshy tips, for example, could have contributed to minimizing drag and dampening the noise made by the ichthyosaur. We would like to further our understanding of how the flipper worked by carrying out more simulations and hopefully building a physical replica that they can test in the water as well.
Right, yeah.
Dr. Mark Jones, the curator of fossil reptiles and amphibians, says that the study is impressive and that the ichthyosaur the ichthyosaurs have fascinated scientists for over 200 years, but the study shows that there is more that we can learn about them. And this amazing specimen and the investigation around it has revealed details about the behavior of these extinct animals that we didn't know. So, yeah, a truly stunning animal, one of my favorite reptiles, and just, stunning. I think they were always one of those animals that I focused on more than, say, mosasaurs or pliosaurs or anything when I was younger.
Ichthyosaurs are very interesting animals, especially with the kind of the range and sizes that they are. They're, like you say, porpoise to potentially the largest animal ever to have lived. It's just the scope of that is quite something.
Yeah. But yeah, really cool species, really cool new find about them, and just makes them that little bit more fascinating. So come on, media. We need more ichthyosaurs. We need big predatory ichthyosaurs, not big predatory mosasaurs. They stole their place evolutionary, but wise. But ichthyosaurs were cool. Anyway, should we move into our creature feature for this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's the creature feature.
Right, well, we're into this week's creature feature. Have I remembered that correctly?
You have remembered. You're not rusty.
No, well, so do you want to take it away, Aaron?
Yeah, we'll dive on in. So arguably the most popular of all whales, the humpback whale is kind of the most predictable answer to the question of one's favourite cruising titan, I think.
Yeah.
And yet, cliche though that answer may be, and as more and more so over the years, the more you ask people, the more they answer that, the more cliche it becomes. It's actually common for a reason, I think. They like to make their presence known.
Yep.
Yeah, and they make it known in what I think, having not seen it with my own eyes, of course, is the most awe-inspiring, jaw-dropping, raw displays of activity in the natural world. What we call breaching in regards to the cetacean kind of penchant for breaking the water's surface to varying degrees takes on a whole new meaning with these guys. They're pretty much a behemoth-sized whale that participates in spurts of bottlenose dolphin level aura farming. I threw in some modern lingo for the kids.
Sorry, I've been away for a couple of weeks, and we've gone for we've gone for Gen Z lingo, have we?
I thought we need to try and get we need to get some new blood in.
If there's skippity toilet in this somewhere, I quit.
There's not, and I still have no
I have no
idea
idea
what that
is,
means.
no.
And I don't know why they say it.
Neither do I.
kind of feel like they say it just to annoy people. Because
Let's be old.
there can't be. Oh no. Anyway, more on the breaching later. Let's do a quick run through of some stats. The humpback whale, known for its pretty unique body form, is a pretty epic animal to observe, and I really hope I get to see one day. Up to 17 meters, that's 56 feet for those of you across the pond, in length, that is, and about 40 of our tons. I don't know what it would be in, is it called short tons?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be. I don't really understand the conversion of that either. Anyway, the point is, you don't want to be anywhere too close to a breaching humpback when you're in your kayak.
Yep.
As some very entertaining videos have shown. They have extremely long pectoral fins, like the kind of long that would make you think of aircraft wings.
Yeah.
And that is kind of why they get their part of their binomial name, the genus name of Megaptera, which means giant wing. They have up to 800 plates of plankton sifting baleen to help them process nutrients as they feed. And because, of course, these are baleen whales and they kind of filter through like krill and that kind of thing. And the undercarriage stretching from the jaw to the navel is adorned with up to 35 of these grooves along the body, which is actually the case for all rorquals, which are that's the largest family of baleen whales.
Yeah.
But 35 is actually a low number for rorquals. They actually have a lot more. They also have these fantastic round nodules called tubercles, which is actually sort of the feature of theirs that is most unique and characteristic that gives them their common name of humpback. And you can find these nodules, tubercles. You can find them all along, kind of decorating all along the head and the trailing edge of the fins. It's kind of reminiscent. What it reminds me of is owl feathers. Owl feathers have a serrated kind of trailing edge, which is why they can swim so silently.
I mean, just like that ichthyosaur we were just looking at, but well, it'd be the leading edge on these.
Yeah, sorry, leading edge. Sorry, leading edge.
I mean, humpbacks are not silent by any stretch of the imagination. But
no, you're quite right. Leading edge, sorry. So along that bit, not
the trailing edge. But yeah, I suppose it gives that same sort of impression. Yeah. It wouldn't be very aerodynamic. You won't see a plane wing with bumps at the front.
No.
But yeah.
No. But yeah, that's where they get the humpback name from. On the head, these tubercles can actually be as large as 10 centimeters thick at the base and about 6.5 centimeters kind of high, so standing off. And each one, it has a single, quite fragile hair piercing through it, which they're
basically ingrown hairs.
They're kind of like ingrown whiskers, I would say. So yeah, an adapted hair. The reason I say whiskers is because they probably have some sort of sensory feature, basically communicating sensory information downwards towards the modular apparatus, or sorry, the nodular apparatus that is the tubercle, which is chock full of nerve endings.
See, I always thought as a kid, and I suppose wrongly in my head for years, because it just never occurred to me that they were just clumps of barnacles and things like that on them.
When I was a kid, I thought the same,
Yeah, because it's kind of what you assume. It's just these weird lumps that are on them, and they're all slightly different on each whale. So you think, oh, well, barnacles.
Yeah, I think it's an identifying feature of them. And also, we're going to circle back to barnacles in a bit, because it's related to something I've already kind of mentioned. That huge, unique body is obviously terminated in a huge, unique tail.
Yep.
The tail fluke of the humpback whale is characteristically rugged looking. I think it looks like someone's been along and nibbled bits of it.
Yeah.
And so when they do that kind of behavior, which we'll come on to as well, where they breach the water with their fluke and they slap it down, you can tell. I think I might have mentioned this on the podcast before, but when I've been whale watching, both just for kind of what's the word, recreationally,
Mm.
and also when I did the censuses in the Mediterranean. That was in the Balearic stretch, kind of Balearic Sea between Barcelona and Mallorca, or Majorca. Uh, the sheets of paper we got that we learnt from research, revised, told us how to basically tell apart different whales that are used in the area, and we think that humpbacks may go in there. But anyway, the point is, you tell them apart mostly by the blow.
Yeah.
It's unique to the species.
Mhm.
Secondarily, by the dorsal fin, because again, that's unique to the species,
Yeah.
but it's more difficult to
see.
find.
Yeah.
In the case of humpback whales, it tends to be quite small, long, and curved over. So yeah,
Sort of like a cat's claw.
yeah. But with humpbacks, you've got that extra feature that their tail, the fluke, is so unique. It's
Yeah.
very hard to confuse it with another. Anyway, that's the humpback in its simplest sort of statistic-driven description. But it's not an animal we should reduce to mere numbers, especially as a species with a deeply rooted connection to our species for many cultures and traditions of the world. According to NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration,
Well, it
Hawaii,
still exists.
yeah, yeah, Hawaii is one such example. Here, the traditional belief is that the humpback whale, also known as kahola, is a form taken by the ocean god Kanaloa, who helped the Polynesian peoples locate the Hawaiian Islands when they were still island hopping. The species may also be seen as, and I apologize to anybody from Hawaii or any Polynesians, in fact, if I pronounce any of these names wrong, but it may also be seen as Aumakua, which is a spirit guardian for some of the island chain's families. Another source, WWF, that's World Wildlife Fund, not the outdated World Wrestling Federation logo. The World Wildlife Fund Australia has an interesting reference to Aboriginal views of the species, in particular the Gadigal. Have I pronounced that right? Gadigal?
Why on earth am I going to have known that?
Australia?
Yeah, but there
you're
are,
from Scotland.
there are loads of tribes.
Fair enough. So
I don't believe they're one from South Australia, put it that way.
No, they're from New South Wales.
There you go.
So the Gadigal people, the displaced traditional landowners of the area now known as Sydney, are very tightly linked to the ocean, and their name, Gadigal, literally translates to whale people, and it's linked to the humpback whale. And this continues for a large part wherever the medium of the ocean brings humans into observation of distance of humpback whales. Wherever they're seen, they enter the stories. And it's really actually very easy to understand why. I myself refer to them in this very feature already as Titans. The Titans themselves were the divine predecessors of the Olympians in Greek mythology. So you're talking about Zeus's parents and all his generation. To anyone witnessing a humpback whale in the flesh, the size, the strength, the beauty, the behavior, it just screams of something primordial, spiritual, and awesome. In an age before selfies became an addiction, seeing one of these beasts without having seen photos or viral videos must have been life-altering for these people. So it's no wonder that they stuck out so much that they had to be mentioned in names. In their creation myths and stuff.
Well, can I throw in as well?
Yeah.
It's not just the fact that they're in creation myths and that sort of side of culture. They're also into 23rd century culture because I think it's Star Trek 2 film-wise. What it was my favorite of the Star Trek films, where they go back in time to save humpback whales, to bring them back to the future to save the future. It's a bit of a convoluted plot, but they steal two whales from an aquarium.
Wow.
Which has humpback whales in it. Because, wow. Yeah, I know. It just go with it. The tank looks tiny, and yet there's two full-grown humpback whales in there. But it's a good film. It's a good film.
Fair.
Anyway.
But I do want to stick with this idea of culture for a bit longer, albeit changing lane to shift focus over to the whales themselves. When we think of culture, it's usually from the perspective of us, humans. For some, that will simply be because that's how we experience culture, obviously. For others, it will be because they've not really considered that other species may create culture themselves. For the longest time, culture has been one of those ledges to which humans cling in order to desperately separate ourselves from the animal world. But the humpback whale may just force upon this perspective a whole new worldview. Vocalization is a behavior that pretty much all humans will link with cetaceans, dolphin clicks, whale song. Most of us have heard these recordings or seen documentaries showcasing these beautiful sounds.
Or walked into a shop full of crystals and they're blasting it out on
Oh yeah,
speakers.
yeah. Yeah, I thought I'd give the I thought I'd give the rock worshippers a day off today, but there we go. You made.
Oh, got to get it in there.
But new studies, which I think we've covered relatively recently with elephants and cetaceans and stuff, they're showing just how interesting these sounds genuinely are. One of the staples of any culture is the ability to communicate through real language. Now, to separate real language from other forms of animal communication, certain markers must be identifiable, such as being socially learned and culturally transmitted. These statistical markers are absolutely present in the whale song of humpback whales, which also displays complex patterns of repeating parts, just like human language. To discover this, researchers from the universities of St Andrews, Edinburgh, and Auckland, as well as from the Hebrew University, observed how babies wrestle with and eventually grasp new words. And then they compared this to whale song from recordings documented over the course of 8 years. The results show that whilst whale song doesn't hit every identifier of a real language, in inverted commas, it could be more closely aligned to human music, in that it is expressive but lacking what the authors refer to as semantic meaning, which I think does actually make sense.
Yeah.
But the intrigue of the whale song goes further still. We've spoken about this before in previous news segments, as I say, but whale song actually evolves. So different pods of humpback whales were observed and their songs were recorded for this research. And over the observation period, researchers found that each pod across the Pacific Ocean had a remarkably similar song to sing. But when a pod made a modification to the song, it would be passed along to the next pod despite not coming into close contact with each other at all. That changed lyric would then be passed from pod to pod, changing ever so slightly the song until the original pod that had changed that song basically received it back, potentially relaying new information to other pods.
Chinese whispers with whales.
Chinese whispers, yeah, in an ocean-spanning connected global community. It really is amazing. It's fascinating, really, because these modifications are probably made when there are changes to the habitat, the climate, the environment.
We might not just be hearing the whole thing completely.
Maybe. But it's fascinating to think of what this information conveys. I want to speak a bit more about pods and socializing, so I'll bring us back to that shortly after a quick detour to talk about the breaching behaviors, because that's another form of communication. You could say that when in the mood and near the water's surface, humpback whales are, fortunately for us, hyperactive and like a good opportunity to showboat. The truth of the matter is actually that breaching has threefold benefits. It removes parasites like the barnacles who can't hold on tight enough to withstand the crashing of whale and wave. It's also, like I say, it's communicative, much like orcas and bottlenose dolphins and many other cetaceans who breach and use those behaviors as both body language itself, but also as percussive communication. I believe it's bottlenose dolphins. It was probably other dolphins too, but I'm pretty sure the documentary showed research that I saw showed research of bottlenose dolphins. The different kind of aerial, what was it called? Not gymnastics, but aerial. Not aerobics either.
Flips and everything.
All the different flips and stuff, they create different sounds as they hit the water, and it's all to do with like direction of prey number. It's all sorts to do with a massive kind of congregated hunt.
Yeah,
probably
but sometimes they also do it for fun, because I can
yes, of
remember.
course.
This is completely off on a slight tangent, dolphin-wise, but years ago there was a dolphinarium in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And the dolphins were essentially let loose, as far as I'm aware, back into the sea, or one or two of the dolphins when the place closed down. I think it was the early 90s, that sort of thing. Now, there are dolphins that live around the coast of Adelaide. In specifically, they prefer to hang around Port Adelaide, which is a mangrove area because there's
Yeah.
lots of food and everything. And shortly after these one or two dolphins were let loose, they seem to have joined one of the local pods.
That's nice.
And in doing so, they taught the tricks that those dolphins had been taught to those other dolphins. So you would see the rest of the group learning these behaviors from those two individuals who then did it for fun.
That's
Just
amazing.
because they could. They've always, they'd been taught to do these as tricks, to entertain people, but then they passed it on because they enjoyed doing it, or and then the rest of the group did it as well. An example of culture, because it's a learned behavior passed on through generations.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. Never heard of that.
I don't know how true that story is, but I've certainly seen the dolphins at Port Adelaide and had them come ridiculously close when I've been fishing there, when I was a kid. And some of them did do ridiculous flips and things like that. So evidently there was, something to it. But yeah,
that's really cool. And I wonder if that spreads the same way whale song spreads. But yeah, that's another thing. In fact, that brings me on nicely to the third point. It's just fun.
Yeah.
They slap the water's surface with their flukes, which is a behavior known as lobtailing. They barrel roll mid-flight, which is called spinner breaching. They slap their flippers. They perform peduncle throws, which are really interesting.
I love the word peduncle.
Peduncle's a good word, yeah. It basically, and also actually this particular breach is unique to humpbacks. It involves that famous sort of launch out of the water followed up by a whiplash-inducing pivot that sees the head driven downwards and the peduncle and fluke thrown sideways out of the water before slamming back down again. And it's actually called peduncling.
Okay.
Peduncling, yeah. And it's used basically to impress competitors and mates alike. So they'll do it. So it's like I say, it's all about like getting rid of pests. It's all about communication, and it is mostly about fun.
Yeah.
And let's face it, if we could do that in the water, we would be doing it in the water.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to the pods themselves, probably now is a good time to mention their social behaviours, because we've spoken about the whale song a little bit. We've spoken about the breaching behaviours a little bit, but it might surprise some people to hear that humpback whales aren't actually particularly gregarious or social. They're not going to be found, at least like not in traditional stands, they won't be found in these somewhat large pods permanently enjoying each other's company as they cruise through the ocean. This isn't one of those cetacean species. For the most part, humpbacks form small pods that remain with each other for a matter of days, potentially weeks, in favorable conditions. Larger aggregations may be observed during a mass feeding event, or when several males are competing for a potential mating rights. Otherwise, the longest kind of co-living arrangement in the humpback world is that of mother and calf, a relationship that will last up to a year. Mating will occur in winter when both males and females are in the peak of their respective kind of annual reproductive cycles, because they both have cycles. Obviously, the females have the obvious cycle, but also males actually experience a peak in testosterone and sperm production in the winter too. So they both go through cycles, and both will engage in courtship and mating with several partners. It often begins with what we call male escort whales, but would probably be better off referring to them as stalker whales, really. The primary escort, well, you'll see why. Yeah. The primary escort basically stalks the cow or a cow-calf pair, blocking other males from becoming suitors. The competitive males will aggressively pursue the primary escort, attempting to overthrow his position through force. And then the secondary escorts, they kind of hang further back, avoiding any kind of potential conflict with the primary escort, just patiently waiting for basically the primary escort to knacker himself out. And whilst the primary and the competitors are kind of catching their breath, in zooms the secondaries. The male's concept of flirting is interesting. It basically involves body slamming the females, chasing them for hours at speed, displaying basically through rutting with other males, and blowing bubbles at the more private parts of the female's anatomy. And if that doesn't work, they'll try just attacking the calf and see if that impresses her.
This sounds like, if you've gone out into Barnstable or something of an evening. Whales are hanging around Weatherspoons by the sounds of it.
It's all kind of a little bit aggressive, isn't it?
It doesn't make humans out to be any different than any other animal,
Doesn't it? It doesn't.
The only difference is you don't see drunk idiots outside of a pub trying to impress women by throwing themselves up and like peduncle slapping themselves on the ground.
Well, it depends how drunk these people are.
True, actually, it could be seen as that.
To be honest, this does not paint a good picture of intelligent species.
No, I think the more intelligent,
humans,
it's just the worse it gets.
Chimpanzees. It's not. It doesn't look good for the kind of the flirting. Or
let's just go and be simple, dim-witted creatures like a slug.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. If we focus on the nice part, they also do singing. So sometimes they'll try and serenade
karaoke as well.
So we spoke earlier of whale song as a vocal communication tool, and that is true, but only the males produce what most people would consider whale song. The females can create quieter, more private vocalizations to communicate with their calves, as well as use shorter, less repetitive lyrics. But the males are the ones who produce the powerful, complex, and extensive songs that you hear in recordings. So when you are listening to relaxing whale song music, you're actually basically listening to basically the equivalent of Builder's wolf whistling from Scotland.
That's the same for go outside.
It is. It is the same with
bird song. They're either trying to attack something else, they're either saying this is my territory, get out of it, or hey ladies, come over to my territory.
It's basically the equivalent of basically someone shouting like F off and you all these cuss words, and someone else going, oh, that sounds lovely.
If you could understand what they were saying, you'd go outside.
Can you keep it down?
No.
We've got children.
Yeah. The mouth on that bird.
Yeah. If any of these behaviours have been enough to convince the females to mate, a successful pairing will result in a birth nearly a year later. I think it's about 11 and a half months, actually. The calf will be born somewhat weak, needing mum to push it up to the surface for its first breath, which is kind of typical of whales, after which it may surface every 3 minutes to take down gulps of air. Now, this is obviously particularly dangerous period, as the shallower waters are where mum and calf will basically hang out. It's where she can effectively care for her newborn, being so vulnerable and needing to breathe so regularly, which slows the pair down, puts them at risk of orcas, great white sharks, and historically also could bring the attention of whalers. With any luck, though, the calf will have moved off of milk and onto krill around, as well as small fish and plankton sometime after 6 months of age, and will be independent by the age of a year, 12 months. And they'll if they're lucky, they'll see about 50 years of oceanic action, which is a nice life for them. Now, I just want to quickly circle back to the whalers I've mentioned. Not the most common threat of today, fortunately, but the archaic and bloody activity persists even to this day, with no fewer than 11 territories across the world participate in it. Now, this isn't just bad for whales, it's also bad for humans too. Faroese children display neurological problems as a result of the mother consuming whale meat during pregnancy, and mercury toxicity is incredibly high in whale organs. In fact, the Japanese average is about 370 micrograms per 1 kilogram of liver meat. Now that is 900 times the government dictated safe limit. Not that I can think of a safe limit for mercury.
Generally, as an idea, I think eating. This is why I've always found, other than in a survival situation, eating the liver of an animal, which is essentially the scrubbing plant, the cleaning part of your body that gets rid of all of those toxins and also congregates them into a certain extent, is just a bad idea. Eating the liver, yes, is full of nutrients and everything, but we live in a day and age where we don't need to worry about that. We can get that from something else. But yes, it is jam-packed full of toxins.
Any pesticides and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It all ends up there. Anyway, it doesn't get much better in other organs either, unfortunately, because the lung and kidney meat actually hold about 100 times the same limit.
Oof.
Yeah, so it's not good. And it's certainly not good for the environment either.
No.
Probably obviously that, but food chains within the oceans could be thrown into imbalance that due to slow gestation and slow maturation rates, it would take a frighteningly long time period to recuperate whale numbers.
But it's not just that. They are moving carbon stores
Yes,
because a
yes,
whale
yeah.
is so large and lives for so long that it's all of that carbon packed into one
Yeah.
place. And when it drops to the seabed, it's released obviously into the deep sea ecosystem
Yeah.
and feeds countless species.
Yeah, a dead whale carcass that's an amazing smorgasbord for the ocean, because at the surface you're going to have the whales and the sharks and rays and all sorts of animals will come and feed on this, and as it then descends down through the water column, you'll get different the whale carcass will feed everything on its way
Yeah.
down through
It's
to the
not just a
seabed.
whale carcass as well. Whale poo.
Yeah, yeah,
That contributes massively to the marine ecosystem.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, not good for whale, not good for humans,
Nope.
not good for the environment, and certainly not good for the trophic cascade
Yeah.
in their habitat. With all that said, though, the humpback whale is actually listed as of least concern by the IUCN Red List. The stats indicate that we have an increasing population currently
good.
floating around 84,000 mature specimens in a population of 135,000. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
They are threatened by habitat destruction, climate change, injuries, obviously from
pollution,
boat
yeah.
collisions, and noise pollution. But for this species, education and the continued preservation of marine sanctuaries are the keys to ensure this upward trends can continue positively. With that in mind, if you are anywhere near this Southern Ocean Reserve. I can never remember what they call it, but the Southern Reserve. If you can, if you have the opportunity, support it, because they are thinking of taking away its protection on a global governmental scale.
Great.
Yeah, humpback whales are hopefully, from this creature feature, you've got at least an insight into them as the kind of fantastic, wonderful species that they are. And I really do, like I say, I really, really hope to see one day, because that would that's one animal that them and blue whale.
Yeah.
I'd love to see those.
I think they're probably they're the number one whale that I would like to see that I haven't seen, because the only species of whale that I have seen is the southern right whale,
Yeah,
because they used to be really common around South Australia.
Yeah.
And the same sort of thing, they would come into places like Victor Harbour to calf. And Victor Harbour itself was a historic whaling town. And the town itself actually celebrates that as part of its heritage. There's a big statue of like a really nice sort of statue of a whale tail coming out of a fountain with water that comes off the top of it.
Wow.
But it's all about whale watching now.
Yeah.
And, ecotourism and everything. It's also a fantastic place for penguins as well, because there's a little island that's connected by a small little wooden causeway out to it, and you can either walk out there or you can catch this tram that goes out onto the island, and you can watch the penguins coming back of an evening. But the whole place is just wildlife central, for a lot of things. You can occasionally see Australian sea lions there as well, but back in the day, this was a whaling port for the exact same reason as a lot of humpback whales. The right whale was called that because it was the right whale to hunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, southern rights and that, they're one that I would like to cover at some point. But humpbacks are, I think, the top of the list for me of ones to see.
Think they are. I think they're joint second place with blue whales. I really would like to see sperm whale.
Sperm whale as well. I think
Kind of like the
they're my
holy
number two.
grail of whale
Yeah.
whale watching because they dive for so long and so deep that
What's the
you're
largest?
exceedingly lucky to see them.
It's the largest toothed whale on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, spectacular species, the humpback whale. One that hopefully will be around for generations to come if we can
They're becoming
take
more
care of the
common
ocean.
off the coast here as
I
well.
was about to say that. Yeah, I did want to. The problem is you have to really pick and choose when you've only got like half an hour tops with a creature feature. You have to really pick and choose your info. I did actually want to go into detail of, well, depending on where you live in the world, where you can go and see them.
Mm,
But we are having more off the coast of Devon and Cornwall,
yeah.
specifically off that kind of Land's End kind of tip of Cornwall,
If you live
and then
down
they
that way,
go
you're
up
just lucky, I think.
past us up in between Ireland and
Up into
Wales.
Scotland, yeah.
Yeah, so but they're becoming more common, which means we're bound to see them at some point within
Yeah.
orcas too are starting to frequent the area more. Yeah, and we did have one blue whale, didn't we, a couple of
Yeah.
years ago?
Yeah, about a year or
Yeah,
two ago. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic.
Cool. Should we move into our emails then?
Yeah,
Bing! You've got mail. Ooh, it's an email.
Right. Well, we're into this week's emails, and I felt like sending in answers to some of these, but at the same time, I thought no, I would be skewing the answers if that was the case. So I've remained silent to some of these. I won't go over all of the answers I had to different things, but anyway, this week's question was: tell us about any experiences you've had with marine mammals. Sorry, with marine animals, especially mammals. Whales, especially mammals. Marine birds are better.
We're trying to queue up this week's creature
I know.
feature.
So Jen Bab starts us off with I've told you before about the humpback breathing on me
Damn it, I've told you.
when the other passengers ran away going, ew. I thought all my Christmases had come at once. It smelt very fishy. Fair enough.
But then Maria Malco sends us a comment saying, the only experience I've had is the cliche one where dolphins are close enough to shore to be seen and almost mistaken for a shark at first. But lo and behold, it is dolphins. I live on the east coast of the USA, so not an uncommon nor particularly inspiring occurrence. Well, still special, I would say.
I think I've told the shark story before. That's just
story.
I mean that just sums it up there and then of people mistaking sharks for dolphins and dolphins for sharks.
Yeah.
So Christopher Ackerson said, I don't have any interesting marine mammal interactions. My cool experience was my first time as a teenager exploring a tidal pool near Oceanside, California at low tide.
California,
I got to see so many species of echinoderms. Brilliant. Crabs, fish, bivalves, and other cool things. It made me think of John Steinbeck's great novel, The Log and the Sea of Cortez. There is a kind of magic seeing the entire ecosystem and how it interacts. I've not heard of that book. I will have to
I've
check
not
it out.
heard of that book, but yeah, I'd be interested to check it out. Clearly, as a resident of California, you and a listener of this podcast, he has to be a Los Angeles Lakers fan.
I mean,
we
apparently,
we wouldn't have Los Angeles Clippers fans. No.
No.
Not that you understand any of that. Anyway,
Isn't that a kind of tea?
the next comment, it comes to us from Spencer Seams, who says, I spent my early life in Alaska from 2 to 5. I don't remember any. Apparently, my parents saw beluga whales and a humpback whale, I think, jump out of the water. I will read out the reply to Spencer because it's from Christopher Ackerson, who we've decided without his permission that he's a Lakers fan, so he gets to have his other comment read out. He tags Spencer Seams and says, very cool. My parents lived in Alaska when I was young too. They saw something like 100 eagles in the trees and feeding off the salmon run. Alaska is a beautiful place. I'd really like to go to Alaska.
Just to see bald eagles, basically their equivalent of a gull. Just everywhere.
Just to see everything that Alaska has.
Yeah.
Alaska and also British Columbia. I know that's in Canada now, but all that kind of area. Yeah.
Yeah, the Pacific Northwest and then further up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Really cool.
So, that was last week's question. And this week, we've got a question that should tide you over. And I think we'll make this into a little video to put out as well. It's things never to say to a dinosaur fan. Now, being one of those pedants like dinosaur fans, what would you say is that, in fact, you say your number one thing you wouldn't say to a dinosaur fan to me, and I'll say my number one thing to you.
There's so many,
Oh,
but
I know.
I think the one that really, really drives me wild because others can be educated against. Uh, but it's so tough. This is really tough because I was just about to say one, and then I thought, oh, I'm not sure. You pick one, be decisive.
Go on.
I can't stand it when people say that either I'm going to use these as one basically that either dinosaurs didn't exist or the
Yep.
bones were put in the ground by the devil to lead us away from God,
Okay.
or that young Earth fairy dinosaurs and mankind existed together. Obviously, excluding avian dinosaurs, but I mean, like non-avian dinosaurs living with mankind. God, that stuff grinds my gears. It grinds my gears.
Yep. I can definitely see that.
What about you?
Okay, so my one I'm going to go with, and this is so recently going back to obviously working in the zoo world,
Right, yeah.
working with certain birds which are more prehistoric looking, shall we say, in their appearance.
Hmm.
A lot of storks, a lot of herons and things like that that have elaborate beaks, and look, well, as most public will then go, oh, they look really prehistoric, like a dinosaur. And you end up going, well, they are a dinosaur. So's that sparrow over there. But you didn't
Yeah.
say anything about that one. Is that the thing that I hate is that people assume that all dinosaurs are big, scaly monsters that look a bit Godzilla-esque.
On that kind of line of thought, I blew a colleague's mind today. He's relatively new, very young member of staff. He's a really nice kid,
Mm.
but he was talking about like the large dinosaurs and stuff like that and stuff. And I said, well, like talking about size differences and stuff. And I said, well, I remember like you get like Argentinosaurus, which
Mm.
is this like mind-numbingly huge animal,
Yep.
right? Most of our listeners will know Argentinosaurus. But then you get the bumblebee hummingbird, which is also a dinosaur, and it's the size of the rubber at the end of your pencil. And he kind of looked at me like, and it was like
Fair enough,
this
yeah.
beautiful moment of realization.
That's quite a good one, yeah. Well, there you go. Let us know what you think is the most irritating thing that you could ask a dinosaur person. There are a multitude of them as well. That all dinosaurs were, everything that lived in the past, including pterosaurs, woolly mammoths, and Dimetrodon. All sorts of different stuff like that. But let us know what yours is on the usual places you can, either on our YouTube page underneath this video, on our Facebook page as well, where that question will be going up, or send us an email if you want to as well about that as well, and we will try and answer those in a video on our Facebook page whilst we are away for the month of August. So yeah. I believe now we can move on to some of our comments that we've also got through YouTube and our emails. So Aaron, what have we got?
We have got using the wrong mouse.
Definitely helps.
Our first comment comes to us from Rosalie9961, who says, with this week's question, or shall I say story, I don't have any big ones. The usual, my family used to vacation in the Carolinas when I was younger, and we'd occasionally spot dolphins not too far away from the shore. Now, this next story is me showing off how wild my irrational fears get. If you guys deem it too graphic for the podcast, I totally get it. Well, I'm going to read this live, so let's see how it goes. Worst case scenario, it will just be a treat for us. So my local zoo has like a dolphin-specific building, and you can walk into the enclosure underwater. I'm guessing not literally. They hold dolphin performances there. I don't support them, but I will admit as a kid, I went to one or two. My biggest fear was that when the dolphins jumped high into the air, they would land and get sliced into by the by the glass wall in the tank. This little story also shows off how bad my depth perception is, hence why I wear glasses.
Fair enough. I mean,
that's funny.
Yeah, I assume it's probably not going to happen, but
No.
it's at least you were thinking about the welfare of the dolphins.
Yeah. So the second comment comes to us from Tobin Sparlin, who says, even though lilac-breasted rollers are brightly coloured, it can be surprisingly tricky to spot them sometimes. They blend in quite well with the sky and sunrises and sunsets.
Definitely true, but I would say
yeah.
that definitely true of pretty much any bird. I mean, that's mostly me being blind, you know.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think Drew's replied to you to say that he'd never even thought about that. That is a
Mm.
challenge, yeah. Bright colors against a bright sky, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for your YouTube comments, both of you. Wicked comments there.
Yeah. So that's just one way that you can get in
Yeah.
contact with us is through our YouTube comments. You can also send us an email as well at the nathistorykupboard@gmail.com. And Aaron, we've got some.
We have it's a bit unorthodox this one because it came to me via personal WhatsApp as opposed to email. But and
It's not an email.
I'm not going to give out my number to anybody. But this one,
It's now flashing on the screen.
I promised my mum that as soon as
Okay.
you were back, I would read out her question. I've put her on hold to wait for you to come back because I
Right.
felt like you'd be best suited to answer. So her WhatsApp reads, it says, Morning, Aaron. I have a question for the Natural History Cupboard. I've just returned from what should have been a relaxing, mindful, and peaceful hack on my patient and beautiful horse. However, it turned into a war against the horseflies, which I can tell you my horse and I lost. I really need to know a positive reason for their existence other than being pollinators, because we have pollinators, and I'm sure we wouldn't miss the horsefly for this purpose. Please help me think loving thoughts towards these insects so I can rid my mind of the negativity I have towards them at present. Thank you, says from Suzanne, and then in brackets, Aaron's mummy. Kiss, 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 kiss. P.S. William, my horse, needs to know as well so he can excuse the horseflies a little for the painful needle-like stings followed by the swelling and hives that he experiences from them. Yeah, he does actually suffer quite badly he
Yeah.
does react quite badly to horsefly bites.
So you just left this one for me to answer.
Yeah, well, I have a very simple answer. It's
Yeah.
actually only the females that bite because they're getting the proteins and the nutrients from your blood or Will's blood to be able to produce their eggs, and the males are the pollinators and they don't bite.
Do you know?
But I figure you have a better way of explaining that.
No, my better answer is go back and listen to the episode that we had with Dr.
Erica.
Dr. Erica McAllister.
Yeah.
Because not only does she mention horseflies and their definite attributes, but she also, I would say, as someone who's not always been the biggest fan of horseflies, although weirdly, I don't know what it is. I can walk into the densest jungle or, in amongst any kind of bushes or anything like that. I don't tend to get bitten by many insects, like occasional mosquitoes and things like that. Not very much. Usually, whoever I'm with, like if my mum is there, she gets bitten by absolutely everything.
Yeah.
My wife, she also gets bitten by everything, as is evident when we went to New Zealand. Every single insect in New Zealand seemed to go, I'll have some of that. And she ended up with this massive hole in her leg from some of the bites because they got infected. It's like I was fine. I don't know what it is. So I've always been quite lucky with stuff like that. But the last couple of weeks, having been working, let's say, back in a zoo again, and doing a lot of clearing of plants because this time of the year, this part of the world, it's like a rainforest in that it's warm, it's wet, the plants just go mad. And I've been cutting back all these different plants from aviaries, and I have had horseflies landing on me and trying to bite me, but I remain bite free,
Atta took a nasty horsefly bite the other day.
Yeah.
Just before I came up with some sort of, you might have noticed it over the last 2 weeks growing, but I seem to have some sort of infection on my arm, which isn't great. But
we'll lop it off.
Yeah.
Just take the arm. But no, I'm really bad at this. Other than obviously the pollination side of things, and of the fact that all animals have a purpose on the planet. That would be my main thing, is go and listen to that episode with Dr. Erica, because she will not only give you the reason why you should like them, but I feel that she will get you enthused to love them to more of an extent than you may have in the past. But yeah.
Speaking of flying things, stinging and biting, I took for the second time in my 38-year life, I took a wasp sting the other day.
Oh,
Yeah, got it right. It was on my neck, right? And I thought, what's that on my neck? So I picked it up and it stung me on the index finger. And it stung when it went in, but it only actually burnt for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then it was back to normal.
ah.
Completely. And I checked my finger. I got a photo somewhere on my phone, and my index fingers didn't change. There was no swelling or nothing. Good.
Well,
So
what I can say
high
for
immunity to it.
for you and for your mum is the one plant you want to use in this situation, if being stung by a wasp or a bee, or being bitten by a horsefly, is you want to go and get yourself some hoary-headed ribwort, otherwise known as plantain, which
Oh yeah.
is really common this time of the year. Crush the leaf up, really crush it up into a poultice, and then like really rub that on the bite or on the sting, and that'll help soothe it. And it works remarkably well. It works better than a dock leaf on, say, stinging nettles.
Yeah.
And I've even used that preferably over a dock leaf on stinging nettles as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So there's our emails for this week. Like I say, you can get in contact with us the normal way through any of the different channels, but you can also become one of our Patreons and send us messages, and we'll try and interact with you equally as much as well. So we just want to say a massive thank you to our Patreons, which we will talk about now.
Every week, we like to give a little love back by shouting out the names of our wonderful Patreon supporters.
That's right. These are the cupboard dwellers who are kind enough to support us through a monetary contribution, for which we are eternally grateful and grateful beyond words.
And those people are, of course, Fogtober, Jen Greenhall, Connie P, Chelsea McKee, Nick to Nick,
Owen Cox,
and Matt Geddy.
Guys, your financial contributions are actively helping us out here in the Natural History Cupboard in a myriad of ways, including developing our new studio, planning excursions and being able to go out and film on location, considering technical upgrades, and actually making the jump from a solely audio-based podcast to the now growing YouTube channel. And we really can't thank you enough for that.
Now, we appreciate all of our cupboard dwellers and the support you offer us through listening, liking, sharing, and subscribing. But if you feel we've earned it and you're considering joining our Patreon, there are two options through which you can do so.
That's the Nature Nerds and the Animal Ambassador tiers, which you can find on the Patreon website or links through our social media as well, and each one having different benefits for you to enjoy.
And now back to Gareth and Erin in the studio.
So a massive thank you to our Patreons there. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's episode.
It does.
And it does bring us to the end of a bit of a break. So well, a massive thank you to you, Aaron, for telling us all about the humpback whale, a species that I think has been a long time in the doing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a nice species.
And a massive thank you to you guys at home for obviously being with us and then bearing with us whilst we disappear for a while. But we will be back. To quote Arnie, I will be back.
Just a reminder, we won't be completely gone.
No, we will still be there, just in a slightly different format for the while.
And after the second week of September, it'll be back to full operation again.
And we've got some really good. I've had
operation.
enough time to properly think of some other animals. Even though we sort of fill out our roster for the year, I think I've got some changes I want to make.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, add one or two species in instead of I've had time to think, to sit there whilst in a hospital, sat there whilst my wife is in pain, going, what to make this animal instead? What did you say? Oh, right.
Nurse?
Yeah. Over here. No, it went a lot nicer. Anyway. So yeah, massive thank you to you guys at home, and we will see you next time here in the Natural History Cupboard. Bye.
Bye. I bet they feel like they're in safe hands now that you've returned. The instability and chaos of the Aaron and Drew show.
Bringing back the regime.
So Gareth,
Yep.
I've got the terrible joke of the week.
Mm-hmm.
How do humpback whales chill out?
I don't know.
Netflix and krill.
Can I go away for a month again?
You're welcome to stay.
Oh,
To go. What do humpback whales chew?
they don't.
Maybe not with a baleen, but they like blubber gum.